October 30th, 1994. This was a special day not only for manga fans, but for the whole world. That was the day that the universe of One Piece took its first breath through the pages of the one-shot Monsters by the genius author Eiichiro Oda himself. And after basically 30 years, we are finally getting an anime adaptation by Netflix. By the way, Netflix is really investing in One Piece. We just had the live action, the up-to-date anime will be streamed, and now the adaptation of Monsters. As a fan and consumer, let's go Netflix! I couldn't ask for more. Actually, what I could and will ask is for you guys to subscribe and leave a like by the end of the video. It helps me a lot. Thanks. Now without further ado, let's dive in. Years after starting One Piece, I came across the information that Eiichiro Oda had released a few one-shots before getting famous. All 5 of them were compiled into a collection called Wanted. The one we're going to talk today is the 4th one, Monsters. Oh, okay, for those who don't know, in the Japanese manga industry, one-shots are called yomikiri, a term which implies that the comic is presented in its entirety without any continuation. One-shot manga are often written for contests and sometimes later developed into a full-length series, much like a television pilot. Many popular manga series began as one-shots, such as Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Berserk, and a lot more. Now, when I say that Monsters was the first breath of One Piece, it can be interpreted by some of you as a stretch. But this story is about a character that not only is mysterious, yet is very important in the One Piece universe. I'm talking about the samurai Ryuma. If you have never read or watched One Piece, don't worry, I'll brief you guys about this mythical samurai. Shimotsuki Ryuma was a legendary world-famous samurai hailing from the Shimotsuki family of the Wano country. That's an island explored around chapter 900. Yeah, remember we are talking about One Piece.
The One Piece is real.
Can we get much higher?
So Ryuma lived during Wano's Country of Gold era, centuries ago. He was revered for his mastery of swordsmanship that earned him the title Sword God, as well as his feat of slaying a dragon. So this dude was not all talk, like some of the One Piece characters. He is also a direct ancestor of our beloved Roronoa, one of the main characters of the show. When Ryuma was alive, he possessed black hair which was tied in the end with a top knot. He also wore a simple kaki samurai gi and simple zori sandals. Later in life, he became a one-eyed swordsman, gaining a scar across his left eye. So from his background to his looks, this guy was a certified badass. And it is so amazing that Eiichiro Oda chose this dude as his first One Piece main character. Ryuma's dynamic is so fun that I would actually read a whole series about him. And after reading or watching this one shot, I really think everybody would agree with me. Now that everybody is on the same page, let's talk about the plot of this amazing one-shot. And don't worry, I'll tell the whole story. That is basically one chapter of 45 pages. But, as I head to the ending, I'll warn you guys beforehand about spoilers and all. Nonetheless, I really recommend you to read the manga and watch the anime. So, let's go! The manga starts with the narrator telling the story of a dragon's horn that was stolen 10 years ago. It was the only such thing existing and was said to have wondrous powers, but no one still remembers the incident. In the next scene, a man is being kicked out of a restaurant due to him being unable to pay for his meal. Meanwhile, in another eating place, the waitress, Flare, recognizes the famous swordsman Shirano, whom she had encountered before. Their conversation is interrupted by the mad-looking guy who got kicked out of the first restaurant, staring through the window on Shirano's meal with his stomach rumbling loudly. After Flare gave him something to eat, the starving man, now presented as the samurai Ryuma, states that this has been his first meal in 5 days and offers his gratitude to the young waitress. He claims that a samurai owes his life to his lifesaver, but he is quickly ignored by Flare, who talks to Shirano again. When the latter leaves the restaurant, his sword accidentally touches Ryuma's, which the samurai takes as a heavy insult. He challenges Shirano to a duel to the death. As the two swordsmen engage each other, Ryuma slashes a copper Buddha easily in half. Just like that. This dude is way tougher than he looks, I guess? Right before the fight starts heating up, Flare tells Ryuma to stop, and to our surprise, he follows her order immediately. He for sure has quite the attitude, but he's an honored man and respects Flare's decision. At the same time, another swordsman called DR arrives at the city. Later on, Ryuma is seen sitting at the bar, learning from the bartender the story of Flare's hometown. 7 years ago, the village in the mountains Flare lived in was suddenly attacked by a huge dragon. The only survivors were Flare and Shirano, who saved the girl from the flames of the burning village. This event established Shirano's reputation as a hero and as such a great swordsman that he could only be defeated by a legendary blade master known as the King. After listening to her story, Ryuma develops great respect for Flare, who he thinks of as a very brave girl. He then has a chat with the bartender about the King, who is supposed to be the greatest swordsman alive, with Ryuma expressing the intention of fighting him one day, since he believes the King has the soul of a real fighter. After finishing his meal, Ryuma decides to continue traveling. As he is walking down the street, Ryuma's sheath is seen yet again knocking against another person. Dude is a magnet. The person being the swordsman DR. As Ryuma calls out the man for touching his sword, DR suddenly starts to scream and accuses Ryuma of stabbing him. While Ryuma is completely confused by the situation, just like us, DR further accuses him of wanting the dragon horn he allegedly stole. He then decides to blow the horn in order to summon a dragon to destroy the whole town. DR breaks the horn and apparently dies. The surrounding crowd blames Ryuma for their misfortune and becomes violent towards him. Flare then appears and, to Ryuma's surprise, gives him a slap in the face and calls him a murderer for causing the situation. Remembering her former encounter to a dragon, she states that he can't imagine how terrible a dragon really is, because if he did, he wouldn't have done something that stupid. Ryuma still doesn't get the situation at all and refuses to take responsibility. For God's sake, they did my boy dirty. Shirano, however, confirms that the horn is real and asks everyone to leave the town immediately. He wants to fight the dragon on his own, though Flare is begging him not to do so. Although Ryuma states that it is stupid to risk his life just for a few houses, Shirano sticks to his decision. The town's inhabitants are still mad at Ryuma, telling him to commit harakiri, where basically a samurai takes his own life. Yep, these people are harsh. Later on, all the town's inhabitants have fled except for Flare and Ryuma, who start talking in the restaurant. Ryuma doesn't understand why Flare is so frightened, since Shirano is supposed to be a really good swordsman. Okay guys, from this point forward we have the climax and conclusion of the story, just to let you guys know. And now, back to the video. When Flare, haunted by her memories, storms off in order to stop Shirano, Ryuma follows her outside. As they stop running and begin arguing again, Ryuma suddenly freezes in shock and tries to prevent Flare from turning around. As he fails, the two of them watch Shirano helping DR to loot the town.
NANI?
It turns out that Shirano and DR were partners from the start, and they framed Ryuma in order to blame him for the incident with the dragon. It is revealed that they were also responsible for the attack that happened 7 years ago. Back then, DR summoned a dragon in order to destroy the village with the dragon horn that Shirano had stolen from his own subordinates. And man, if you don't hate these guys yet, check this out. The little Flare encountered Shirano in the middle of the flames and begged him for help before passing out. Instead, he killed Flare's father while she was unconscious and decided to use her to gain prestige for his name. This guy. What a motherfucker! Now, back to the present. As Ryuma and Flare are hiding behind a house, Flare tells him that staying any longer would be a death wish, as the dragon was still coming to destroy the town. She tells him to leave immediately, but instead of fleeing herself, she returns to her place and breaks down in tears. Ryuma, who has followed her again, witnesses her tears and screams from the outside. then runs off to confront Shirano and DR. When he faces the two criminals, he states that he knew someone who would knock against another sword so toughlessly could never have a true fighter soul. That's right, the guy can really feel the soul of a true warrior. As Shirano mocks Ryuma and finally attacks him, Ryuma kills him with one effortless strike. First little bitch down, one more to go. Then DR, the second little bitch, frightened by this turn of events, pleads for his life by offering Ryuma the real dragon horn in order to stop the dragon from destroying the town. Ryuma just tells him that he is not an inhabitant of this town and draws his sword. The author despises DR so much that on the manga we don't even have a panel of Ryuma defeating him. 2 pages later, he is basically dead on the floor. As the dragon arrives, Flare is seen sitting on a rooftop, preparing to die together with the town. By then, she realizes Ryuma is confronting the dragon, and in an epic scene, the samurai jumps from a building and beheads the beast with one mighty swing. That's right, one freaking swing. It gives me the chills. As Ryuma is leaving the town after the battle, he meets Flare again, then tells her to stop thinking about dying as he believes dying isn't fun at all. When Flare asks him why he isn't famous to the slightest, he just states that reputation isn't important in a fight, but what you protected. Ryuma is not only a certified badass, but a top-tier Chad. The dude really delivers. As a farewell, he tells Flare that she now owes him one, and that he will eventually return in order to have a meal. Later on, as the inhabitants of the town are returning to their houses, Flare learns from the bartender that Ryuma is actually called the King, and that this name was given to him by those he had saved. He is believed to be the world's best swordsman. So yeah, here we have it, the full circle. He was the king all along, without even knowing. This ending is simply elegant. Eiichiro Oda really played with our expectations. Ryuma is already a fulfilled hero in this story, but fame is not his focus. Reputation means nothing in a fight. What truly matters is what you protected. Now thinking, I don't know about you, but this Ryuma guy really reminds me of a certain pirate that stretches. Thanks for watching, guys. You should definitely check Monsters, the manga and the anime. Subscribe for more, keep protecting what's important to you, and keep reading manga. Bye!